great IPO rush that we saw last year generated massive buzz and attracted a bunch of new investors into the primary markets. Now, there were many companies that went public, including some high-profile unicorns, preceded by hype and hoopla, and followed in some cases by a reality check. So what is life like for a company after listing? I'm going to find out. From Mumbai, I have the Sapphire Foods story. Now, that's the company that runs outlets like KFC and Pizza Hut in India and Sri Lanka. I'm at a new store in Bandra in Mumbai, and I'm here to meet the group CEO, Sanjay Purohit. Remember, the company went public in November last year, and the retail portion was subscribed 8 times. Hi, Sanjay.
Hi, Anuradha. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. Life has changed a lot, isn't it?
And welcome to KFC in Bandra Hill Road, our second store.
Yeah.
New format, great store.
So a lot of time has passed, but the sales marketer is right up front and center.
So in food, unless you're passionate about what
Yeah.
you do, I mean, it doesn't come up, it doesn't come through to the customer. So I think I'm passionate about KFC, I'm passionate about Pizza Hut, I'm passionate about Sapphire Foods.
I know. This is the format that you all are now betting on at Sapphire Foods for KFC, isn't it? Tell me a little bit more about that.
So our store on Linking Road is like a flagship store.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
If you want directions on Linking Road, it is turn left from KFC or
Meet
go
me
ahead.
at the KFC
Meet
store.
me at the KFC. But that store, as well as it does, is just not sufficient to cater to the demand in and around this place. And therefore we said, let's open a second store, Hill Road. I mean, a kilometer and a half away. And yet this store has done well, not cannibalized. That store continues to grow. And now when I think about it, I envisage KFC to be a neighborhood restaurant, Pizza Hut to be a neighborhood restaurant. And therefore in this neighborhood, Bandra, Santa Cruz, we could perhaps have 4 KFCs, 4 Pizza Huts.
The small store is also a format that's going to work for you guys because people are taking away more, people are ordering, via delivery services more. Is that something that's a direct outcome of the pandemic?
This has been going on for the last 5-6 years. We inherited large stores. We have started to cut down the size of the store. So at a 1,500 square foot store, we've got 40-45 covers, ideal for a neighborhood restaurant. And then you're able to cater to delivery, to dine-in, and to takeaway. And then we are able to improve accessibility. I think that's the theory behind, or the driver behind these smaller stores.
Is it also because retail is, space, especially in prime locations like this, is also very expensive? Are those factors?
Oh, undoubtedly. The smaller format just allows us optimal capex. And we were spending 1.7, 1.8 crores behind the KFC earlier. Perhaps now it's gone up slightly. So it's optimal capex, and yet the store delivers the kind of returns. And paybacks have improved dramatically as a result of the smaller store format.
Delivery is now contributing to almost 50% of revenues. Is that for KFC or for Sapphire Foods overall?
So delivery at one stage was 100% during the peak of the pandemic. As restrictions have lifted, dine-in has come in, delivery has continued to be at the same level. So in KFC today, delivery contributes about 37-38%. In Pizza Hut, possibly 45%. But we've spoken a lot. We are in a KFC. I can smell finger licking good fried chicken here. So you must have something. What will you have, Anuradha?
Popcorn.
Popcorn.
That's come to India without making and continue to survive. And oh wow, our chicken
Thank
popcorn
you.
is here.
Here's your chicken popcorn.
Oh man.
And here's a bucket for you.
No, really, like really. Like I
Thank
said,
you, Dad. Thank
Sanjay,
you so
this
much.
is thank you. This
Yeah.
is my guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
going
the
to have
max
one
I'm going to
also.
do. Oh my god. No MNC can come to India and not have a twist for the Indian palate and wallet, isn't it?
You're quite right there, Anuradha. So we had a rice bowl, which was quite popular. But this is a different take on the rice bowl. And hence, biryani and chicken, I think it's fantastic and it's doing really well. And quite surprisingly, it's doing well in markets that are non-traditionally rice-eating markets. So North does really well, parts of West does well. And in the traditional rice-eating markets, perhaps a little less better than the North and the West.
In November, this very milestone moment was achieved by Sapphire Foods. And I can see when companies list and, when it's the function at the NSE, I think yours was at the NSE, right?
Yes.
There's a little emotion or a lot of emotion that's on display. What did it mean to take Sapphire Foods public? And how has your life and your work changed as a result?
So, Sapphire Foods came into existence 6 years ago.
Yeah.
At that time, Yum believed that a two franchisee model in India was the way to go. So they had an Indian promoter-led franchisee.
Yeah, which is Devyani.
And then they said, let's get in another kind of franchisee, professional promoters, led by professional management and governed by professional a board. And over the last 6 years, our performance has actually vindicated that a two franchisee strategy in India is perhaps the best way for Yum to go.
How much has your life changed after listing? You talked about what it costs today to set up a store. Earlier, you wouldn't have thrown a figure out like that if you didn't need to. Today, everything is up for scrutiny. Every number, every decision, every bit of money spent. How does that affect your working? Give me a peek into what life after listing is like.
So from an operating performance level, nothing has changed, Anuradha. I think my personal belief, and that's the belief in the organization, that if we run a great business with great people, with great governance, that's the way to go. Finally, valuations are an outcome of all of these three things. So from an operating cadence perspective, there's nothing changed.
Sure.
There was incredible scrutiny on our numbers because we had 5 private equity investors. So in any case, we were used to that scrutiny of numbers. Today, just our investor base is much larger. That's it. I think what has changed is the pride that our employees feel in Sapphire Foods. 6 years ago, people were joining because of me. Today, they join because of what Sapphire Foods means to them. They are owners in the organization. So last year, before the IPO, we rolled out ESOPs to 1,000 people, including our restaurant general managers.
When you look at analyst reports and you read them or you look at them, there's a target price for Sapphire Foods at this point. The offer was some 1,180 rupees a share. It listed above. How does all this feel? When you look at these cues, these pricing cues that are coming from external sources, based on the analysis or the bets people are making on Sapphire Foods' performance, how does this affect you?
Today, all the reports say buy Sapphire Foods. So that's the first thing.
Target price 1,700.
Correct. I don't look at the stock price, Anuradha, at all. Perhaps once in a week. Our promoters are exactly the same. They say, let's build a good business. I think the tenets and the fundamentals of a good business is this. Can you deliver consistent, high quality performance? And today, look at the COVID pandemic. We've been the best performing QSR chain.
But can you afford to tune out all this buzz and chatter once your stock goes public? I mean, in February, there was this run up, right? And it reached possibly a lifetime high so far. This must be impinging on you in some way. And even if you are guided by a long-term vision, I want to understand how you cope with these external factors.
So it's easy to get flustered or be ecstatic when the share price goes up or goes down. I think it's important to remain calm here. When I speak to investors, they tell us this consistently. The people who have invested in us and continue to buy in us, they say, deliver great performance, deliver great governance, be transparent in your disclosures. And this is what we are attempting. We have to understand that we are a new company, a new entity. Most investors don't know about us. We are a different kind of company also. Private equity, professional promoter, professional management, professional board. So it takes time to build trust. If I go back 6 years, it took time to build trust with our private equity investors. Why should that be anything different for our investor? As long as we deliver great performance, we are great with our disclosure, I'm quite confident that people will look at Sapphire Foods as an incredible opportunity to invest in.
You mentioned that Sapphire Foods is one of 2 franchise holders for Yum brands or Yum in India. When you look at the other company that also listed last year, there is some sense that because Sapphire is private equity owned and professionally run, at some point, given that that's bigger and it's the same set of brands, that there will be a merger. When you hear things like that, which is also a sense of suggestion that you all are here to seek value and then exit at some point, how do you react to that? What do you make of that?
So the simple fact here is 6 years ago, Yum could have consolidated its business with one franchisee. They chose to go with a 2 franchisee model. They chose to go with a different kind of a franchisee, our franchisee. And I think our performance has vindicated that. When COVID happened, Anuradha, we thought, my word, we are going to go back a couple of years. But in these 2 years, it's perhaps the best thing that happened to our company. Our improvement in financial metrics have actually been the best. FY20, our operating EBITDA was 5%. Today it's 11.5%. Our net profit was negative 12%. Today it's 3%. So this execution mindset and this accent on governance has really vindicated Yum's decision to say 2 franchisee model in India works. And they've done this in many, many markets. All over Asia, you see multiple franchisees.
So are you ruling out a possible consolidation at some point?
Oh, completely so. I think we've got our story. We are building ourselves to be a restaurant operator platform play. So we are so excited about KFC and Pizza Hut and the opportunity. But I'm not ruling out a 3rd brand or a 4th brand. That is the kind of operating scale, capability, back end that we are building. I think we are building that to be a 1,000 restaurant, 2,000 restaurant kind of an operation. 2 brands, 3 brands, perhaps 4 brands. So that's our story.
The other brand in the Sapphire Foods basket is Pizza Hut. What is happening there? Because there is a sense that because of the mall location for most of them or many of them, that recovery has been a little different from KFC's in the last 2 years.
So we've been very passionate about the Pizza Hut brand. And there are things that work really well with the brand and there were things that needed fixing. What needed fixing were 2 things or were perhaps 3 things. One was value needed fixing. And therefore on April 19, we redid our menu. And redid our menu to bring value in a very Pizza Hut manner. So Pizza Hut is about meals. And therefore a meal for 1, meal for 2, meal for 4, unlimited meals. And today in terms of value, Pizza Hut is fantastic, better than even the competitor. Second one was delivery. So pre-pandemic, our delivery proportion would have been about 20%. Today it's about 40-45%. We have worked with our own app. We have worked with the aggregators. And we have worked on, therefore, improving the delivery experience. So that is 3. The last part was fix the new store economic model. So again, like KFC, we used to have 2,500, 3,000 square foot stores. Today we have compact 1,200 square foot stores.
For Pizza Hut also.
For Pizza Hut, 45, 50 covers, tight kitchen. My word, they really deliver well. And again, we are able to improve accessibility as a result of this. So, and then see how we have started to crank up the innovation pipeline. That Momo Mia pizza, all of us, first time when we heard it, we said, my God, what is this? But when I saw it and I ate it, it was sensational.
It happens only in India, right?
It happens only in India. It's an Instagram-worthy pizza.
How do you ensure, the brand experience, both in taste and presentation, is the same? Because the customer doesn't know, Sapphire Foods owns this outlet and, Devyani owns another outlet. And also, what about the communication, the brand communication? How does that work?
So apart from Sapphire and Devyani, Yum India has a strong presence. So Yum has a strong presence in India, both Pizza Hut as well as KFC. Now, Yum KFC India would be responsible for both advertising, communication and innovation.
Right.
And all 3 of us come together in a co-op to really decide what do we want to do from a innovation perspective, what are the new products that we launch, pricing. So each function, there is a tripartite co-op meeting. So what you see in a store is standardized right across the country.
It has to be.
It has to be. Pricing is standardized. All NPD will be tested out in smaller markets.
Right.
So, but finally, launched nationally, all restaurants, whether it's Sapphire or Devyani together, finally, this is how it is presented to the consumer.
Tell us a little bit about Sri Lanka, because the Sapphire Foods franchise is for India and Sri Lanka, and I think Maldives.
Yes.
So, Sri Lanka, how have your stores, and their Pizza Hut, I think, is the leading brand, isn't it? So, how have your stores been affected there? Are they running full time? We are hearing of power shortages, there's political uncertainty, social unrest, economic crisis. How is all that affecting you?
So, you're right. I've been to Sri Lanka on work and on pleasure for the last 15, 20 years. I love the country. It's such a beautiful country. And therefore, what is happening from a macro sense is saddening. But we've got such a strong business, Anuradha, and there are reasons for it. One is, actually, while there is inflation, also there's a lot of money in consumers' hands. So every family has someone or the other in the Gulf who's remitting money. 1 year ago, they got 200 to a dollar. Today, they're getting 350, 360 to a dollar. So actually, there is money available and people want to spend that money. So that's one. Number 2 is, if you want, so clearly there are fuel shortages, there's electricity shortage. That has
so your stores are open for
so
shorter
that has
hours,
sadly
right?
wiped out unorganized market, which in any case was small in Sri Lanka. But for us, we've got the wherewithal to continue to operate. So one person is always at the fuel pump to get diesel to be able to run our stores. So unless there is curfew, actually we are running our stores. In that market, we've got delivery capability better than anyone else. So in your home, you don't have gas or electricity to cook. And therefore, you have to come out and eat. And where would you eat? You would eat at a Pizza Hut. So our execution advantages are really playing out in that market. We are seeing tremendous transaction growth and same-store sales growth. And therefore, this is what we tell.
But expansion might slow down, right?
So last year, we opened 25 stores on a base of 70. 25 stores on a base of 70. We came to 95 stores. We believe that we'll double this in 3-4 years. Nothing has changed from an expansion perspective. We spoke to a lot of Yum markets who've gone through similar situations at a country level. All of them come back and say, double down on the business. great opportunity to actually build very strong competitive position. I was speaking to the Sri Lankan team yesterday, and they're saying we are now hopeful of things stabilizing over the next 4-6 months.
That's good. That's good to hear.
But we are
for
going,
Sri Lanka.
and we are going, gangbusters in that market.
Sanjay, here in India, we are seeing the RBI action to control inflation. We are, the environment seems to be slowing down, right? Growth is slowing down. Are you seeing any of that affect your consumption when it comes to your product portfolio? Because we do know that I think some price hikes you've had to put in place,
Correct.
right?
Inflation is now across the board. So on food raw materials, packaging materials, capital equipment, inflation is right across. And this kind of inflation I have not seen at least for the last 10-15 years. So it is a concern. We are trying to raise prices but less than general inflation. So perhaps in the short run, gross margins might be impacted, but we will recover through other belt tightening initiatives and still deliver profitability as per earlier. If we keep inflation, our price increases below consumer inflation, and this has been my old consumer marketing theory, you will get more affordable, therefore consumers will come to you. So at this moment, we have to remember last year, April, May was poor for us because of the second wave of lockdown.
Yes.
At this moment, we are still seeing very strong transaction growth. And yes, we have taken price increases, about 9% on KFC, 2.5% on Pizza Hut, and we'll take perhaps another 2.5%. Transactions are growing, but it's wait and watch. Inflation is concerning, undoubtedly. It's making the cost of our stores go up. I think this is wait and watch. Right now, transaction growth, volume growth is healthy.
How do you prepare for this kind of uncertain world? World is always uncertain, but never more than at this point of time.
I think the most important thing to do is to remain calm and collected in such volatile circumstances. So if my team sees me being jittery, I think that's not good. During the COVID pandemic also the same thing happened. We said there's nothing that we have done. So just let's first accept what has happened. Our business came down to zero. In my career, I've never seen a daily sales report that said zero, Anuradha. And then when our stores were closed for 10 days, so then it's going back to the basics. Let's get our stores open. Let's take care of our team members. Let's take care of customers. Let's build the business slowly. And I think that focus on execution, that calmness, therefore, we convey to our investors who are also jittery at one point in time.
Of course,
And I think there's just too much. While too much is happening, you have to just be as calm, as collected. It's not easy. There is 100 things going on in your mind, in your heart, but there's no other option.
Sanjay, final question. You've used one word repeatedly through our conversation today, and that word is execution. When you have investors look at you, at your quarterly results, at your interviews, at your investor meets and analyst calls, how do you want them to look at execution and the emphasis you have on execution at Sapphire Foods, and what kind of value should they ascribe to it?
So strategy is sexy, but if you ask me, execution is sexier. And really there are three things to execution: customer experience, people, the back-end operations, transparency and disclosures. I think this is the mantra to great execution. It is every day, every single day.
Sanjay, lots of good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.